Welcome to the training series for the Rehabilitation Cost Estimation tool for mining and exploration in New South Wales. The tool is administered by the Resources Regulator within New South Wales Resources, referred to as the regulator in these videos. This series will guide you through every aspect of the tool, helping explorers and mine operators like you calculate rehabilitation costs accurately and efficiently. In this first video, we'll cover modules 1 through 5, which provides an overview of the new tool, discusses key changes from the previous tool, and provides detail on specific elements. Remember, while these modules offer detailed insights, they're designed as an introduction. For in-depth guidance or specific instructions, always refer to the user manual available on the Resources Regulator section of the New South Wales Resources website. The Rehabilitation Cost Estimation tool, referred to from here on as the RCE tool, or just the tool, is designed to assist explorers and mine operators in calculating rehabilitation costs, which is assessed as part of the regulator's determination of the Rehabilitation Security Deposit amount under the Mining Act 1992. It provides a consistent, generic approach to estimating these costs for exploration and mining activities. Additionally, the regulator uses this tool to assess the full cost associated with decommissioning, rehabilitating, and closing mining operations. This ensures transparency and compliance across the industry. Before we proceed, please note that there are some essential definitions that are fundamental to using the tool effectively. If you are ever unsure, refer to the user manual available on the Resources Regulator section of the New South Wales Resources website. The RCE tool introduces significant updates to enhance functionality and transparency. Here are the key changes. The mine type selection on the introduction page has been removed. Instead, you'll enter quantities to specific domain types, each with its own dedicated sheet in the tool. All activities are now specific to a domain in a specific sheet. For example, the reshaping, capping, application of growth media, planting of vegetation, and creation of drainage for a tailings storage facility are now all in the tailings storage facility sheet. Several key names are changed to align with other frameworks administered by New South Wales Resources. For example, process facilities and heap leach are now part of the beneficiation facility domain, while pits fall under the active mining area domain. To ensure stability and ease of use, all macros have been removed from the tool. This reduces the potential for errors, reduces potential security issues, and improves performance, especially for users with varying Excel setups. The new tool now offers more flexibility for cost calculations. Rates for activities like bulk push and load and haul have been expanded to reflect a wider range of scenarios. Similarly, fleet options have been reviewed and expanded, giving you more choices for different operation sizes. New user input sheets provide clear access to rates and assumptions. A detailed rates sheet lists all standardized unit costs for equipment, labor, and materials, all updated to reflect current market conditions. Additionally, items like contamination, rehabilitation, and mobilization costs are now organized under relevant user input sheets for easier reference. These updates make the 2025 RCE tool more intuitive, and we think align more closely with how industry calculates its rehabilitation liabilities. To explore these changes in detail, check the user manual on the New South Wales Resources website. In this module, we'll guide you through the steps to prepare an estimated rehabilitation cost using the 2025 RCE tool. By the end, you'll know how to download, set up, and navigate the tool with confidence. Start by visiting the New South Wales Resources website. On the homepage, go to the Resources Regulator menu and select Mine Rehabilitation. From there, select Security Deposits and find the link to download the RCE tool. By downloading the tool, you agree to use it in accordance with the guidelines, which are also provided on this page. Save the Excel workbook to a secure location on your computer, as you may be prompted to choose a folder. Ensure you're using a compatible version of Microsoft Excel, such as 2016 or later. Once opened, the RCE tool's first key sheet is the RCE Summary. There are 3 sheets to the left of the RCE Summary: Introduction, Checklist, and key changes since last RCE. These will be discussed later. The RCE summary, though, is the first sheet the user will likely visit when completing an RCE. The RCE summary comprises of two key sections, the site registration table and the cost summary table. We will come back to the cost summary table later. For the site registration table, you'll enter details about your mining activity and RCE. This table is mostly the same as the old tool and includes the date of the RCE, the mine name and lease details, the title holder and term of the RCE, the current security deposit amount, and the date of its last review. You'll also note any key changes to the mining activity since the last estimate. This information helps the department understand the key changes that will impact the cost estimate. The RCE summary sheet is your hub. It includes hyperlinks to individual domain sheets, also called user input sheets, where you'll enter specific data for your mining activity. Each domain sheet, such as those for active mining areas or beneficiation facilities, has a link to return to the RCE summary. This makes navigation quick and intuitive. After completing the site registration, work through each domain sheet to input details relevant to your operation. We'll cover data entry in detail in a later module. Once the data entry is complete, return to the RCE summary sheet to review the consolidated totals for your estimate. The RCE summary table includes a contingency amount for exploration activities and separately for all other activities. The contingencies are discussed further later on. The user can enter comments to the right of the table to provide information that may be useful to the department. This module will equip you with the essential concepts to use the 2025 RCE tool effectively, from rates and data entry to comments and navigation. These basics will help you input accurate data, justify your choices, and move through the tool efficiently. The user input sheets include default cost tables, and some include user build tables. The default cost tables are the estimates developed by first principles in the tool. The default tables are designed to be easy to use, generally only requiring a small amount of data entry. This is the easiest and quickest way to use the tool. If available, the user build table is under the default cost table. The user build table significantly expands flexibility, however requires more effort from the user, often needing multiple quantity entries and selections from drop-down menus. An example of a user build table is the tailings storage facilities, whereby the user can enter capping thickness and growth media thickness and can select fleet ranges and sizes for various activities. In contrast, the default cost table for tailings can be used with the entry of just one number and selection of the risk level. The default rate tables and user build tables both use underlying default rates. These default rates are either single values or built using first principles. For every default rate in the tool, the user has the option to enter their own rate, termed alternate rate. However, for any alternate rate entered, the user must provide justification in the space provided. Default rates are represented throughout the tool as purple cells. A key concept of the tool is that you are never required to enter the same quantity in two spots. For example, if you use the default cost table, you do not then have to add quantities to the user build table. Most inputs are quantities entered into green cells. For example, enter the thickness of the embankment requiring reshaping or the area in hectares for revegetation. Always check the unit of an item to make sure you're entering the correct value. Some green cells have drop-down menus for preset values, ensuring consistency. For site-specific areas, use the user override cells, which are also green. If left blank, the tool uses a default or calculated area. Always check the unit of measure shown in the column to the right to avoid errors. The RCE tool is color-coded to guide you. Green and yellow cells are for user inputs, while other cells, example for calculations, are locked to protect the tool's integrity. The color code key is on the introduction sheet. Comments are crucial for justifying your inputs to the department. Each domain sheet has a user notes column for general comments. Comments include explaining why you chose an alternate rate, for example, a higher rate due to steep terrain, or why a quantity is significantly different to a previous estimate, or listing the elements that are covered under the row or selection. On the RCE summary sheet, if you enter alternate contingency amounts, you must provide justification in the designated text box. Similarly, for any alternate rate in a yellow cell, include a justification in the table's comment section to support regulatory review. The RCE tool uses hyperlinks for easy navigation. Start at the RCE summary sheet, which links to all domain sheets, such as active mining area or tailing storage facilities. Each domain sheet has a return link to the summary. To find specific items, use Excel's search function, Control F, but check the context to ensure accuracy. Drop-down menus in green cells let you quickly select from preset options. Each sheet has a table at the bottom where users can enter cost items not included in the standard table above. Specify the quantity, rate, and a justification for the rate in the comments section. This module introduces the domain sheets, or user input sheets, where you'll input most of your data to calculate rehabilitation costs in the 2025 RCE tool. We'll cover their purpose and structure with detailed examples in the next video. As always, for more detailed instructions, consult the user guide on the New South Wales Resources website. The RCE tool includes 10 domain sheets, each covering a specific mining area, such as active mining area or tailing storage facilities. These are the primary user input sheets where you enter data to estimate costs. There are also several other sheets summarizing information or simply for reference or lookup. Each domain sheet has a consistent layout for ease of use. At the top, you'll find the domain name, a hyperlink to return to the RCE summary sheet, and the total cost for that sheet. Below this is a table listing all the activities associated with that domain. Each row may include purple cells for default rates, yellow cells for alternate rates, green cells for quantities or selections, and grey cells for calculations. If the sheet has default cost tables and user build tables, the default cost tables are first, followed by the user build tables. When you download the tool, some of the user build tables will be hidden. The tables can be shown by clicking on the filter and selecting Show. To hide the user build table, simply deselect Show. Enter only data relevant to each particular item in rows where green user entry cells are present, or in yellow cells where you have alternate rates. Remember, if entering an alternate rate, you need to justify this in the user notes column at the end of the row. This column can also be used for any other comments that will help explain values entered or selections being made. All sheets run top to bottom, making data entry straightforward. Explore the domain sheets in the RCE tool to familiarize yourself with their layout and refer to the user guide for specifics. There are several other sheets in the tool which are available to assist the user and the department in understanding a cost estimate. The first sheet is the introduction sheet, which includes an explanation of the RCE process. It also includes guidance to the user on specific elements of the tool. For example, guidance is provided on the selection of fleet size. Some of the elements discussed in the preceding modules, including default rates and alternate rates, are also documented in the introduction sheet. The checklist sheet is required to be filled in by the user. This is to help the user ensure they have covered all required components and informs the department that all aspects have been considered. The user must select an option from the drop-down for each item and add any comments as required. The sheet called Key Changes Since Last RCE must also be filled out. The user enters the previous year cost for each domain and makes comment on any changes that have occurred. For the first year or two, this process will not be straightforward as the domains do not align 100% with the previous tool. The user should use their best efforts in the first couple of years to communicate with the department what the changes are and why in this sheet. This module dives into key items that fine-tune your cost estimates in the 2025 RCE tool, including multipliers, capping, revegetation, haulage, and mobilization. Understanding these will ensure your estimates are precise and compliant. For details, consult the user guide on the New South Wales Resources website. Contingency multipliers, found in the RCE summary sheet, add indirect costs and adjust your total to account for uncertainties. The contingency amount includes project management, maintenance and monitoring, and pure contingency. The default percentage for exploration is lower to account for the more limited scope associated with such activity. In general, default percentages will be appropriate for most sites. If a site requires a higher contingency, this can be entered as shown and no justification is required, although an explanation will be useful for the department. If the user wishes to enter a lower percentage, they must provide robust justification for review by the department. Capping applies to tailings storage facilities and overburden emplacement areas using layers like rock, capillary break, low permeability, and growth media to ensure safety and stability. The thickness of these layers depends on the risk category you select based on the contents of the structure. Default thicknesses are listed in the sheet called Assumptions Capping. If you enter a thickness below the default, provide a justification in the User Notes section for that row. Refer to the user guide for risk category details. Revegetation is categorized as native, pasture, or arid, with additional options like tube stock, mature trees, hydroseeding, or hydromulching. Most default rates include seeding costs, as noted in the Assumptions Inclusions column of the cost schedule. If seeding is excluded, it's clearly stated. Haulage rates cover transporting materials or decommissioned equipment, which is included in the default rates for various items. The cost schedule sheet details these assumptions. When selecting a haulage distance from a drop-down menu, enter the one-way distance. The tool calculates the round trip automatically. Mobilization covers the round-trip transport of equipment like dozers and trucks to your site. Select a one-way distance range, example 150 to 500 kilometers, if the nearest equipment source is 280 kilometers away, and a fleet size based on your project scale. The user guide provides details on fleet sizes for different activities. Practice these features in the RCE tool and consult the user guide for more details. In the next video, we'll explore worked examples to bring these concepts to life.